Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Random Review series in DBougie86 here again. Now, the film I got for you guys today is a film that was actually released this week through Arrow Video US, and it was a title that I was highly anticipating to check out when they first announced it, and I was happy enough when they sent me a screener copy to check out for you guys. And that film, of course, is titled The Bloodstained Butterfly. Yes. This film is directed by Duccio Tessari. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's an Italian director that I don't actually am familiar with his work in Italian cinema that much, and I'm kind of curious to check out some more of his other films. And this film, of course, is a Giallo, and it's a Giallo in its sense and essence, but I'll get more about it now. Let's get into the main plot of this one. A murder happens. This young girl gets murdered, and there's an investigation that goes on, and they actually find who might be the murderer. He's a family man whose actual daughter was actually friends with this girl that was murdered. And what ends up happening is there's like this courtroom session period in this film where it goes through his trial, and he gets tried for the murder of this girl. But then what ends up happening is the murders start happening again. So did they catch the right murderer? It's pretty much us as the viewers trying to figure out what's going on in the rest of the film. That's all I'm going to give you because I don't want to really spoil this one. Now, my thoughts on this film, it's kind of like the Law and Order of Giallos in a way, because it does go instinctively into the trial process of this crime, where you get to see trial by a jury and courtroom sessions, and you get to see the interactions of the people that are involved with this trial, especially the man who's on trial's family. Very kind of like Law and Order in a way, if you know, you see the central characters of each episode with what happens in their everyday lives, and you get to know more about them, and if they're betrayals, or if you've seen Law and Order, you know how that goes. But I really like the characters of this one because it kept me interested without it. There is some mystery with this other character, Giorgio, who's also friends with the guy on trial's daughter. There's a relationship going on between those two in the film, and really interesting. And I like the interaction with the father's lawyer, who actually, when we get more to know him in the film, is kind of like a scumbag character, which, yeah, there's a lot of sexual tensions in this film, and there's a lot of subjective messages throughout it also, which I really did dig. The acting was top notch. I watched both the Italian dub and the English dub, and they're both really well done. The English dub, if you're not a fan of subtitles, it's actually not as bad as some of the later ones that I'm most notably known for, like a cheesy Italian film. This is more world-class dub, and they actually took the time and care to dub the voices and have them match up. And I gotta say, the film is shot beautifully. It has this great opening shot where, if you haven't seen this film before, it opens up with this image of a silhouette, a butterfly, and it shows the scenery of Italy in that silhouette of the butterfly. And it's really beautiful done, and it's done by this organic score. This film score is very organic. It has a lot of organ sounds in it, which I really dug. It kept me on tense and the edge of what was going on with the characters in an intense scene. Now, for being Giallo, you know how slow moving it is. I think this one might be a little slower for people that are not really into Giallos or still trying to get into Giallos more, because of the courtroom stuff that happens. It's a very long process, and it actually does take up a good chunk of the film, in my opinion. So it could have been a little more edited, toned in some of those scenes, I might have to add. But for the most part, I did enjoy this film, and I did like the ending. The ending cut me on suspense because I didn't know how this film was going to end throughout it. And I really did like the ending of this film because it just kind of made sense all together at the end of the film. So it did work perfectly well with the story and the way the story was going. So if I had to rate the Bloodstained Butterfly, I'm giving it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, it could have been maybe a little edited more, but with the courtroom stuff, but I still enjoyed it for the most part, and I do recommend it. Now, the transfer on this Arrow release is really good. It's a very grindhouse, not like, you know, like it's really cleaned up, but it still keeps like its 70s grain. Like if you saw this film for the first time in the 70s, this is what it would look like. And this release is loaded with special features. There's a few interviews with some of the surviving cast members, like Hellman Berger, who actually also does an introduction to the film too. You could either choose like play film or play with introduction, and he does introduction of the film also. It also has an in-depth interview with I can't pronounce the actress' names right. Well, it doesn't have her name on the thing, but she's actually also, she was in the film, and she was also actually the wife of the director, Ducci Terracera. And it's a really heartfelt interview. She goes in with her relationship with the director and his films and the work on it. And this release also has a very interesting commentary track by film historians Alan Jones and Kim Noonan, who I really know well because they both were interviewed for the Video Nasties documentary and have written articles and even like some booklets for Arrow in the past. So it's really cool. I really like to hear them because I knew Kim Newman from back in the early days of like documentaries and stuff, and he's a really interesting dude, and he knows a lot about films and horror films and Italian films for that matter. And it's a really interesting documentary and commentary track, I have to say. Yeah, this release is great. If you're into Giallos, this release is for you. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. So 8.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for the whole release, I have to say. So that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you next video. Peace out.